Hey all, your OS reviews. Recently, Baseus came out with a new line of charging products called Pico Go, and we're taking a closer look at 3 of those items in that collection today. The first one is a tiny cube-sized charger that supplies up to 45 watts, so it can power the latest iPhones, including iPhone 16, in addition to even iPads, MacBooks, and other USB Type-C laptops even, being one of the smallest 45-watt chargers in the market, and it accomplishes this using some graphene coating on the inside to keep it cool while it's charging things back up. So they're calling it a stacked graphene design. It's powered by GaN or gallium nitride to again supply higher wattages in a smaller form, and comes in 3 colors including black, white, as well as a blue color as well if you want something a little bit more fresh looking. Also supports Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 and Power Delivery 3.0 for applicable smartphones from Samsung, Huawei, and the like. Plus it has a tough certification, so it claims to be also relatively energy efficient and again cool during operation. We'll take a closer look at the design and performance in a moment, but just briefly hitting on the other product here, it's going to be the Baseus AirPow 2. It's a Qi 2 standard magnetic power bank. For those unfamiliar, Qi 2.0 standard now has built-in MagSafe support by default using a magnet, in addition to having faster wattage up to 15 watts. Granted, that's still not as quick compared to wire charging in most instances, but it's still going to be more rapid compared to 7.5 watts being the default on Qi 1.0 wireless charging accessories. So a little bit faster, and again, you can still use wire charging, including a full-size USB Type-A, providing up to 22.5 watts, as well as a Type-C both for input and output, providing an additional 20 watts. Also comes in a few other color versions, including a classic black and white here that we'll see closer in a moment. And then kind of last but not least, to plug your phone or device into the chargers, they also came out with a newer charging cable, which now includes a retractable design, extending up to 100 centimeters in length and also supports up to 100 watts power delivery. So you can use this cable for charging laptops and phones. So now diving a little bit deeper into that C1 wall charger cube first, it can be found for under $30, so not bad in terms of price point, though it does have just this one Type-C port, very minimalistic. It doesn't have a Type-A port due to this really compact design. Most phones can be juiced up to over 50% in less than 30 minutes. Still, this can be a pretty neat travel solution if you just want to carry something extremely light, and includes typical safety functions against overheating, overcharging, and the like. So sliding open the packaging, we have a quick start guide, and like other Baseus products we've seen previously, also includes some of their classic stickers. It's a nice little touch that I do appreciate, and again, this is a brand that is a nice alternative to Anker, plus other Xiaomi ecosystem brands, I would say are all good choices if you're looking for solid charging accessories and peripherals. You can use these stickers to further decorate your tech with if you want to. And underneath here we have just the charger itself, and that is it. There's no additional cable included in the packaging, but I can indeed confirm that this thing is tiny. Here it is next to kind of a classic iPhone charger from back in the day, still using USB Type-A, and this was a 10-watt charger, which was quite standard. So now this thing is over 4 times faster in terms of charging speed, despite being almost half the size. In fact, what's crazy is many laptop chargers are significantly chunkier, such as this one from Lenovo is kind of a brick by comparison, even though it is a little bit more powerful, but still, this thing is going to be already sufficient for charging up MacBooks, most, again, Type-C Chromebooks, and laptops. So that form factor is probably the most impressive thing here. The design is also relatively clean. I do like the gradient finish on the top that kind of shimmers as you catch it on the light, as well as that single Type-C port there accented in yellow. Now, one slight design con though is it looks like the charging prongs don't fold up. That would have been even more convenient if you're just throwing it into a bag, something to potentially add in a next-gen revision, but it is what it is. Otherwise, very dense feeling as well, despite the small size, crafted out of polycarbonate plastic, but it's a little bit heavier than you'll think for something that is so small. Here it is next to a cell phone as well, just for reference. And so as a quick test, let's try charging up some devices, starting off here with a laptop using Type-C, and as you can tell here, charging has started. We can also verify that the charging speed here is indeed gradually moving higher here towards 40-45 watts. Also plugging in another power bank for juicing back up. It's going to be a fast charging power bank, so we can verify that it is drawing kind of the maximum 45 watts at the moment. So indeed, the rated power supply there for the charger seems to be holding up quite well. So whether it's a laptop or other power-hungry devices, even at 45 watts, I can also verify that it's still cold to the touch after more than 20 minutes or so of charging. So it seems like thermals are indeed handled quite well, despite the really compact size here, offering pretty solid charging performance, all things considered. And once charging reaches 100%, the device will also stop charging automatically as well. Now maybe only one other detail that would have been nice to find though would be some form of LED illumination. If this can also act as some kind of night light for finding the port in darker environments, but keeping in mind that this is all about that portability and a really low price point, around 25 bucks, I would say it still is working well enough. Now a closer look at the second item in the collection, which is that AirPow 2 magnetic power bank. So inside the packaging here, we have just the power bank itself, as well as a similar quick start guide, and the classic Baseus stickers are included once again. The power bank here does give you a supplied USB Type-C to Type-C cable, which is a nice extra. So once again, certified to be compatible with any MagSafe iPhone, plus other Android smartphones that do have Qi 2 compatibility, or if you have a case or sticker attached with a magnetic ring, you can take better advantage of that capability. However, even if you don't necessarily have wireless charging, you can still use it like a regular power bank using Type-C or USB Type-A. Pretty small for a 10,000 milliamp hour capacity, and so it can charge up most phones these days around 2 times or so before it needs to be juiced back up. That being said, this particular power bank does not use GaN or gallium nitride technology, so again, at around 20 watts or so for wired charging, it's still going to be a little slower than that wired nano charger, being a more conventional charging speed overall, but it's going to be lightweight, something you can carry even on flights as you are traveling around. So the power bank itself is crafted out of a coarse plastic material. It also feels relatively dense, although there aren't really any rubber accents on here, so that would have maybe provided slightly more grip. Right now it is a little on the slick side. We have the integrated magnets in addition to a light that will flick on when wireless charging is activated. We can tap on the button here once, by the way, to also gauge the power percentage remaining. Top here also features a yellow accented Type-A port, as well as another yellow accented Type-C input and output. But again, this particular wattage is going to be sufficient for phones as well as tablets, including iPads, but not as much for laptops, which tend to require at least 45 watts. But overall, again, still quite small. Here it is next to kind of a average size phone, just as reference, looking quite compact. The wireless charging, by the way, doesn't seem to be that picky, so just aligning it onto most compatible devices, even if you have a case on your device, as you can tell, will initiate the charging, and also indicating that wireless charging here is in progress. So yes, if you have a case on your phone, the wireless charging will likely still function. It's not super picky. However, for the magnetic part to work, it ideally needs to be a slimmer case, or you need to have a sticker attached onto the back for it to pass through, depending on how thick your case is. The magnets, though, do seem to be pretty strong. It's honestly not going to move around that much, so you can just pop it on here as it does its thing while you hold onto the phone and continue to use it. Pretty convenient, all things considered. And again, at 15 watts, just being a little bit faster than most average wireless chargers. Let's also try the wired charging method. Plugging it in here, you can see that charging will start, and it is going to be a little bit faster here at the aforementioned up to 22.5 watts. So if you are in a hurry, I guess using the wire charging is probably still going to be a little bit more efficient, but the trade-off is the power bank has to be carried separately, even though it's still quite small, fitting into a pocket, for example, without too many problems. And again, that wireless charging light has also been turned off, since the cable might be a little less awkward as it's plugging into the device versus this side-mounted Type-C port. And also, since 22.5 watts is the maximum output, you're not really able to charge devices simultaneously on here at the maximum speed, that is. So if you have the MagSafe one here plus the Type-C and Type-A all plugged in, it's still only going to output 22.5 watts. So if you have something like AirPods or wireless buds plugged in while charging a phone, maybe you can charge 2 devices at the same time. Splitting the output, it can still be alright. However, if you want the fastest charging, you would want to really stick with just one port at a time. So I do like the design here, and performance is generally quite good during operation, remaining quite cool, and when charging reaches 100%, it will also stop charging your device to prevent any overcharging. That being said, again, it would have been nice to find GaN built-on in so they can upgrade this to something like 45 watts to make it even more versatile. It's not bad for an ultra slim power bank though. And now the final retractable cable still comes with the sticker pack that we had on the other more expensive peripherals, a nice little touch, and then we have just the actual cable itself, which I do like the design of, and the, again, cable length here can stretch maximum up to 3.3 feet. The cable here is coated in some soft touch rubber, so it makes it a little easier to grip and actually retract the ends. Plus, when you're pulling on one of the ends, the other one also starts to go out, as you can tell there. A simple Type-C to Type-C, and interestingly, this one here is orange accented And the cable here actually has 4 different adjustments in terms of length. The minimum one here looks something like this if you're plugging it just into the power bank for charging a phone, versus the second mode looks like this, versus the third mode gets progressively longer, and then the maximum mode achieves at 100 centimeter length. And it will then retract all the way back when you pull on it for the 4th time. So not bad in terms of the design. One benefit here is it prevents the cable from tangling up quite as easily if you're not using it or putting it into a backpack as you're on the go, for instance. I can indeed confirm that charging here will still be officially supported, working well enough. The cables themselves are even in this flat style, so it prevents, again, further tangling when it's being used as well, remaining quite cool during operation. By the way, if you're transferring some quick files, connecting it into a computer, it seems to work for quick file transfer purposes as well. So that is more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Baseus Pico Go line of charging peripherals. These are simple everyday products that aren't necessarily revolutionary, but still are solidly built. Again, this particular lineup is all about the compactness during operation, easily sliding into a backpack and just taking it with you when you're on the road. Out of the 3 though, I would say that the actual kind of wall charger part may be the most impressive. So if interested, you can check out more details in the links down below. Could also be a stocking stuffer idea to consider in the holiday season. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. Just a quick hands-on look at the ultra compact Pico Go line of charging products from Baseus.